Hey there, lady. I'm Molly Connolly, your coach and hype woman on this journey to transforming your love life. Whether you're navigating life after divorce, exploring the world of online dating, or deepening the connection in your committed relationship, I'm here for you. Why me? Because I walked this path myself, from filing for divorce just 3 years into marriage to swimming in the online dating pool into my late 30s, and finally marrying the man of my spreadsheet dreams right before the world changed forever. I've seen it all. As a relationship coach, I empower women to create love lives filled with clarity, connection, and confidence. This podcast is all about building a strong foundation for a healthy relationship with yourself and your future partner. I believe the man of your spreadsheet dreams is worth the wait, and together we'll ensure that you are ready for him when he arrives. Join me each week as we dive into insightful discussions and hear from savvy guests. You'll gain the courage to break free from limiting beliefs, recognize and change patterns that are holding you back, and learn to prioritize the number one relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. So let's embark on this exciting journey together. Welcome to Reinventing the Arena. Hey there, lady. Excited to have you joining me on the podcast today. Brad is here for a couch conversation.
Hello. Yes, we are actually at our dining room table again, and we are recording on our third wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, honey. Perfect episode to discuss this too. So for this episode, we're going to discuss the balance in relationships, specifically independence and togetherness. I swear we keep running into this situation. We think of an episode topic, and the next thing you know, clients of mine or even women who I randomly meet bring up an issue, which is ironically the topic for the month that I have asked Brad to join me to discuss. So balancing independence and togetherness in a relationship is essential for maintaining healthy and fulfilling partnership. When people fail to achieve balance between independence and togetherness in relationships, it often leads to dissatisfaction and, in many cases, relationship breakdowns. So, according to research published by the Journal of Divorce and Remarriage, couples who are overly dependent on each other or spend too much time apart tend to experience higher levels of emotional strain and conflict, which leads to divorce. In these cases, lack of communication about personal and relational needs amplifies the situation, resulting in feelings of neglect or suffocation within the relationship. So some of those challenges within the relationship include loss of identity, stunted personal growth, reduced intimacy, increased conflict, lack of fulfillment, and just growing apart emotionally. I know before I started my self-development journey, I experienced quite a few of those challenges in my past relationships. Even just starting from high school and into my first marriage and even afterwards. So from what I have seen or become accustomed to with relationships was that married people were always together. I rarely saw my parents spending time with their own friends. Instead, I saw them going out together, spending time with family and friends as a couple. It wasn't really until I was older that I knew my mom would go out for lunch with her friends or my dad would go hunting with his. So during my first marriage, most of the challenges I mentioned above became everyday occurrences, causing him to pull away when I wanted closeness and resolution. And obviously the marriage had dissolved, but that was due to a lack of trust and honesty. Brad, what are your thoughts and experiences?
Well, a balance between independence and togetherness is something I definitely struggled with during my first marriage. Basically, there was no balance because I was made to feel my independence was not only not important to our relationship, but actually harmful.
Yeah.
And that everything should be done together and even at the expense of all other relationships.
Yeah. And that's even another reason why I wanted to bring this up is because these experience that we had and bringing them to the episode is just to normalize that it happens to all of us. And the wonderful thing to note is that you can improve your relationship by addressing these issues and striving towards balance. And so Brad and I have a few ways we've accomplished balance in our relationship. So the first one is respecting personal space, which if you're watching on video, which is not what we're doing right now. Sitting so close together. So even though we have hobbies that we both enjoy doing together and separately, like reading and hiking, or just, pretty much anything outdoors, we still have our own hobbies. Each partner should have their own interests outside of the relationship. This allows for personal growth and fulfillment, which is going to reduce any feelings of dependency or monotony.
Yeah, like for example, I train for triathlons. I play drums. I watch TV way more than you.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, we both like to read sometimes at the same time, sometimes separately, different times.
Yeah. And like for me, I just really enjoy learning. So sometimes that's, furthering my education within coaching. I also enjoy spending time with the friends that I have here in St. Louis, or even having Zoom calls with friends. But, even getting into my creative side every once in a while, that's not drums, but maybe like drawing and painting or any sort of crafting. And even designing the house sometimes, like doing a
Yeah,
little bit of decorating. So.
absolutely.
And I know we have mentioned this on other episodes, but alone time is also needed. So spending alone time or even, alone with friends gives each person the space to recharge and reflect, which can make the time spent together more meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on other episodes, but I like to go to movies alone. One, because you don't really like to go to movies or watch movies.
Yeah.
That's something I've always done, really, even back into my original single life, is go to movies by myself.
Well, we did see Beetlejuice.
Yes, we did. And with last episode, or one of the last episodes I was on, we talked about how I take my trips with my really good friends from high school for the last 30 years. We talked about that in the men's friendship episode. So there's some things I like to do by myself, and I know that you're okay with that.
Yeah. And then when you go to movies or if you're watching something at home that I don't want to watch, like this honestly helps me be like, now I can make time for reading or the things I want to learn that I've pushed off. Or sometimes like our Sunday nights, that's usually when I want to have bath time.
Right.
And so it's perfect for him either to catch up on a show or if you want to watch football, if it's during its season. But like I mentioned too, going out for coffee and going out with friends for meals are great. And one of these days I'll do a girls trip again. So moving on from there, it'd be the second is fostering open communication. Partners should feel comfortable expressing their need for both independence and togetherness. So open discussions can prevent misunderstandings and help both people feel valued. Brad and I are pretty organized people, but we do our best to check in with each other, whether that's, the other person going out of town for work, with travel for Brad, or when I have clients and he's working from home. One thing that can cause us to be overly independent is the fact that we were alone before we met each other. And when life gets busy, we have to remind ourselves to put our personal time and date nights on the calendar so we are meeting our personal and relationship needs.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before, but something we cannot recommend enough is a shared Google Calendar, or at least some kind of physical calendar where you can mark down important things and schedule time together. Our Google Calendar has become, like, seriously such a vital piece of our relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, we deal with it probably every day to make sure our personal stuff, our work stuff is on there, so we each know what each other's doing in case we forget to tell each other every day. And also, it's critical for putting those date nights down, so we have a set time to spend together.
Well, yeah. And like when you're out of town, it's really wonderful for me to put something on the calendar to let you know, like, hey, I'm having this come up and I put it on the calendar already. Or, hey, I scheduled a date night with our friends. Hope you're not traveling. And I can just go check instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
when I say, hey, there's this thing, and you're like, put it on the calendar, and I say, okay.
all right. So third is set boundaries. Boundaries in a relationship could be its very own episode. But for now, you can go back to episode 56 to hear more about boundaries after you get done listening to us right now. Set boundaries that respect both personal and relationship needs. So due to our communication and transparency in our relationship, we rarely disrespect each other's boundaries. And if it happens, it's addressed pretty quickly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I always know you respect and support me, even if I need to work from home in the evening or maybe on a weekend, or when I have to travel, whether that's planned or kind of like immediate, like, oh, hey, I have to leave now. That's happened a
Yeah.
couple of times. Like, I am leaving today for multiple days. And so, like, even if I feel guilty about that sometimes, it's never because of anything you do.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, you do your best to make me not feel guilty about it. So it's great to have that level of understanding and compassion, and that I'll reciprocate.
Yeah.
And if that is ever reversed.
Exactly. And that also just brings on respect for individuality. So like while sharing our life together, it's important for, each of us to view each other as individuals with our own unique goals, interests, and opinions. So next would be quality time. Planning intentional time together is so important. Make time to be fully present, whether it's through date nights, like we just have mentioned, conversations, or shared experiences. This is going to help strengthen your emotional connection. So when life gets busy, like we have already mentioned, like with our calendar and whatnot, it's handy to also have a list of creative date ideas. Maybe it's restaurants you want to try, or even stay at home dates to help with the experience. During the pandemic, we were very intentional with our date night calendar. Even though I had moved in with you, we still prepared for the date as if we were going out. So I would get ready separately in like a whole different room and bathroom. And we would then have like the whole meal selected for us to make together. We would buy a bottle of wine and play music while we made the meal. And then keeping our phones, away from us for the rest of the evening was even more helpful with creating that intentional connection.
Yeah, I think that was a good habit that we started. You mentioned like, yeah, getting ready like you're going out on a date, but then just even something as simple as making dinner together and having that smooth jazz on in the
Yeah.
background. That was always something fun, and we learned how to, cook together, and, we tried new recipes, and it's an easy way to spend quality time together, and nowadays, we, like you said, you mentioned, we come up with new ideas. We're always sending each other things on Instagram for things to do around the city.
Hmm.
That might be a fun date night. I mean, oh, this might be a fun date night, and so we'll write that. Yeah, we've got a list of restaurants and
Places to try.
places to try to go out on dates and things like that. So, it can be just simple spending time at home, but you just really have to think about it and be aware of it. So if you see something or have an idea about what to do, write it down, send to your significant other, or put it on the calendar.
Another one that we recently did, like I think in the last few months, was a dance party. We just like went out for dinner and we came home and we're like, let's listen to music. And we would go onto YouTube and be like, oh, when was the last time you heard this song? And then we would just go back and forth. And it was so much fun just to make our own playlist in a sense from YouTube.
There's been some alcohol involved in that night.
Well,
yes.
that's
Spontaneous dance party.
Spontaneous dance party. We should make a sign for that to go in the house. All right. So next is mutual support for growth. Both partners should encourage one another to pursue their passions, career goals, or personal growth. So this fosters a sense of mutual respect and pride in each other's achievements. What I love about supporting each other's growth are the moments that we get to celebrate. And if we aren't able to celebrate, I know that I can lean into our planning and problem solving skills, help us reevaluate our goals and get closer to them the next time around. Plus, personal growth doesn't have to happen separately. You can learn new things, travel, or take on challenges together, which keeps the relationship dynamic and evolving. What are some areas you think we've grown as a couple?
We kind of just mentioned it there. Like you said travel. 'Cause that's the first thing that kind of comes to mind is traveling together. So whether that's going home to see families like we've done, or any kind of recreational trip or vacation, knowing and now learning and now knowing how we both value different things about traveling, and depending on what kind of travel that is, and relaxing and working together to balance those, like even how frequently we like to travel, we found that's different.
Yeah.
We didn't know how different we were when it came to traveling. We just had to go through it several times to first realize it and then start talking about it and adjusting how we approach the planning and executing of the travel, and finding a balance between how we each like to travel and how we like to spend our vacation time.
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least is balancing dependence with emotional security. So while each partner should maintain independence, there's a natural level of emotional dependency in relationships. It's about being there for each other when needed without losing your own identity. We've mentioned communication as one of our strengths in our relationship, but we might have not connected that with how it has allowed us to have a balance between freedom and trust. Because a sense of trust allows for more freedom, since partners know that the relationship is secure even when they are apart. And honestly, our relationship's probably the first relationship where I have trust in my partner 100%. Our communication, how we're aware of each other's plans and goals, how we handle disagreements, and problem solving has been critical to solidifying trust in our relationship.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way, and it's definitely not how it was in my previous relationships. The sense of trust and security we both have with each other allows us both to thrive not only together, but also in our independent lives, because when we're doing our independent thing, we aren't worried or distracted about how the other person is feeling about it and if they might be upset or anything like that. We both know we want each other to have a fulfilled life, both independently and together. And that's a great freedom to have and can't be underestimated.
Yeah, the key to balancing independence and togetherness no matter what is maintaining a sense of self while nurturing a strong connection with your partner. By practicing good communication, like we just mentioned, and respecting each other's individuality, you can cultivate a healthy and resilient relationship. Before we end today, I wanted to share some research that backs all this up. A 2012 study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that around 70% of couples who reported higher levels of autonomy also reported higher levels of relationship satisfaction. This highlights how giving each other personal space can contribute to a more fulfilling and lasting relationship. In 2019, Psychological Science shared a study that discovered about 65% of couples who practice this balance of independence and togetherness reported fewer arguments and healthier discussions when conflicts arose. This is because they tended to approach the problems with a sense of perspective and weren't overly dependent on the relationship for emotional support. Then the Journal of Family Psychology noted in 2019, within a study, that approximately 58% of people in long-term relationships said that their personal well-being positively influenced their satisfaction within the relationship, reinforcing the value of individuality. Then in a 2020 survey, the Knot found that 60% of couples felt that spending more quality time together, such as date nights, weekend getaways, improved their communication and deepened their connection. These findings indicate that maintaining both independence and togetherness is key to a successful relationship, and it can lead to higher satisfaction, better conflict resolution, and overall improved well-being for both partners. And if you're in a relationship, we want to challenge you. Review the areas we just discussed. How can you improve your relationship? Which one would you like to focus on to have more balance and independence in your relationship? Send me a message on Instagram or share it in your stories and tag me at Reinventing the Arena. We would love to know. Thanks again for joining me today, babe.
You're welcome. I think this is a very important topic. And a reminder, get that Google Calendar going.
And if you have gotten that Google Calendar going, let us know as well. All right, lady, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back to chat with you again soon. Thank you for joining me on the Reinventing the Arena podcast. I'm your host, Molly Connolly, a relationship coach devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives. Tap the subscribe button so you never miss out on an episode. You can always find me on Instagram at Reinventing the Arena, or learn more from me on my website at reinventingthearena.com.